guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It's 9 o'clock and it's time for another video. And today I want to talk to you about technique. Specifically, I want to talk to you about, is technique important? Is it really important to do advanced sleight of hand? Because, you know, that's been the question that's been asked over the course of hundreds of years, isn't it? You get two camps of people in magic. You get one camp of people that go, presentation is everything. Technique isn't important. It's not important to have incredible technique. It's not important to learn incredible sleight of hand moves, because ultimately, at the end of the day, the most important thing is to entertain the audience. And then you have other people when you go that will go, hang on a minute, we're talking about magic here. You have pride in your work, have pride in your ability. You know, why go and be somebody who's doing tricks that you could just buy out of a shop and do in 10 minutes? Why not spend years honing your craft and making your performance incredible and unique by putting together sequences and routines that involve really difficult sleight of hand? And audiences can tell the difference. They know the difference between somebody who is incredibly skilled and somebody who's using a gimmick. And this is an argument that's gone on for years. And I've been meaning to talk about it, but what actually made me go, you know what, I'm going to talk about that today. What made me do that was seeing the backlash, especially within the magic community, when it came to Harry Moulding and Britain's Got Talent and the finals of Britain's Got Talent. So if you don't know, for those of you that aren't aware, maybe you didn't watch the magic news this week, Harry Moulding won Britain's Got Talent. He is only the second magician in the entire history of Britain's Got Talent to win. The first, obviously, was Richard Jones 9 years ago. Harry won. I think he's only 23, 24 years old. He's won £250,000. His career is set. And, he won, I think, with 27% of the votes. They've actually announced the votes now. I think it was the second place was nowhere near him. It wasn't like it was close and it was like 0.5% or something. He was the very clear winner. And you can say what you want about Britain's Got Talent. Some of you might love it, some of you might hate it. I don't really care. But the bottom line is that was voted for by the public. You know, that was voted. It's not like it was rigged or fixed in any way. This is the public that have voted for a magician to win the UK's largest talent competition. And Harry should be pleased with himself. He should be super pleased with himself. But, and the majority of magicians have been so supportive, and they've been so happy that Harry has won, as we should do. Because the thing is, Harry winning really helps every professional magician in the country. Because what's happening is magic is now on the lips of everybody. You know, you go and have somebody like Harry win Britain's Got Talent. Now people are thinking, you know what, I want a magician for my event. I want a magician for my event. So Harry has helped all of us. But there is a section of the magic community that have been very negative about the fact that Harry won. And some people are actually posting on their social media saying things like, I can't wait for Britain's Got Talent to be cancelled. It's an embarrassment, who does he think he is? All he did was won with a self-working trick. It's embarrassment that a magician's won doing things as simple as Harry Moulding. And there's been quite a few people talking negatively about the performance. And I've read a lot of these comments, and I talked about it on Magic News. So I'm not going to really spend too much time talking about that now. But what I am going to address is pretty much every single time a magician, I'm not talking about the general public now, I'm talking about magicians. Pretty much whenever a magician has spoken negatively about Harry and about his act that he used to win the competition, they talk about how he did the same thing 3 times. And it was all very, very simple. So for those of you that don't know, in the auditions, Harry did a card routine, which involved a force. And ultimately, the big reveal at the end was, because the auditions were taking place in Blackpool, he ran out to Blackpool, out the theatre, and on the Blackpool Tower, it was lit up with the card that one of the judges has picked. I can't remember who, maybe KSI. Then in the semi-final, it was another effect that involved forcing various different things, which ultimately, he was able to predict which people in the audience the judges would select. He was able to predict every aspect of it, like the place that they were thinking of, and so on and so forth. And it was all based on a series of forces. And then in the finale, there was, Simon Cowell thought of a word, and the other three judges picked a card, and after a series of kind of multiple selection style reveals, the card was revealed in a video, which was also used. The video thing was used in the semi-final as well, because there's a marriage proposal. And the cards were revealed in the video, and then Simon's word was revealed on the stage floor, which looked absolutely amazing. And magicians are saying, well, hang on, how can you win with the Force? You know, how can somebody win Britain's Got Talent? And they reference Eden Troy. Eden Troy was on. He got through to the semi-finals, and he was incredibly skillful, and it all looked very, very beautiful. But the judges didn't say nice things about him in the semi-final, and he didn't make it past the semi-final, and the whole thing's rigged. How can Harry win? Blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. And they're all talking about the fact that there wasn't really that much skill in the act. And that, a lot of the forces that Harry used were self-working. I even heard one person say, about his final act, not bad for a three-way deck or something, or not bad for a three-way deck. And I'm not going to talk about the magicians that are saying this, because that's not what this video is about. I'm not going to talk about the fact that it's jealousy, plain and simple. I'm not going to speak about the fact that anybody who says negative things about Harry when he's just won probably one of the largest competitions in the world makes them look bad. I'm not going to say anything like that. I've already had my piece to say on that, and I just filmed the Q&A, and somebody asked a question about that very subject, and I answered that on the Q&A. What I am going to talk about is whether people are right or not. It is true, let's be completely honest, it is true that a lot of the stuff that Harry did in his 3 acts wasn't particularly difficult. It wasn't a particular difficult thing to do. It's actually relatively easy. The routines that he did involved self-working methods to force various items, whether it be a force bag or a Sven pad or whatever the case may be. It wasn't particularly difficult. The focus was on the revelation. Is that a bad thing? Because ultimately, at the end of the day, you look at somebody like Matt in my office, who's going out and gigging on a regular basis. He's a very successful close-up magician. And we all know Matt's journey. 2 years ago, Matt had never done magic before. 2 years later, he's out performing. Now, Matt will be the first person to tell you he's not the most skilled person in the world. I joke that he can make a career with an electronic dice and a Stebbins deck. He does a bit more than an electronic dice and a Stebbins deck now, but the point still stands. Even when he was going out and his repertoire literally consisted of a Svengali deck and a dice, an electronic dice, he was going out and killing it. And that's not subjective. When Matt goes out and does gigs, he's doing it for my company. And we send feedback forms out to every single client. And I see the feedback forms, and I see how people absolutely rave about Matt, about how they love him. And, oh, he's such a wonderful magician. He's the best magician in the world. We had a laugh in the office the other day because a client that booked me numerous times and absolutely loves me booked Matt earlier this year because I wasn't available. And they've rung back and they've said, yeah, we'd like Craig, but we'd also like Matt for the next event because he was just amazing. And we had a laugh that I've spent like 30 years learning sleight of hand, and he can come in and get to my level according to the client with with an electronic dice and a Sven deck or a Stebbins deck. But here's the thing, right? What Matt has going for him is presentational skill. Matt has spent years honing his ability as an actor to present. And so when he, I jokingly talk on the Matt test about how it's waffly bollocks, but ultimately at the end of the day, he goes into a gigging situation, and I've seen him walk over to a table and captivate everyone on that table in seconds. Literally in seconds, everybody will be paying attention to what he's got to say, and they'll be listening to every single word. And I see the reactions from people in the room, and people have incredible reactions to him. And then the client loves him afterwards and talks about how it was the best thing they've ever had, and they've seen magicians before, and Matt's better than the rest. Now, Matt's not the best magician in the world. He's not. If I asked him to come here right now and do a triumph, he couldn't do it. If I asked him to come here now and do an ambitious card, I think he'd probably fumble his way through it. I don't know. But if I asked him to go out to an audience, in front of an audience for half an hour and light that room up, I know he could. So, with that in mind, presentation is everything, right? Especially when you consider that I've been to gigs with people. I'm not going to say names, it's not fair, but I've been to multi-man gigs, and I've been there with people who are considered incredible technicians, legends in this community. I'm not going to say names, but I've been to gigs where I've seen people who are technically way better than I will ever be. And we've been in a big room with lots of big tables, and our job is to go over and go and perform for the big tables. And I've seen people that will go out at a lecture and make an entire audience of magicians stand up and give them a standing ovation because their skill with cards and coins is simply phenomenal. And then when they're at this gig, they're trying to psych themselves up to go over to a table because they're nervous, they're worried, I don't know. When they go over to the table, they're trying to do all this fancy stuff, and they're not building a connection with the audience. And the audience couldn't give two hoots. The audience couldn't care less. They couldn't give a crap. They didn't care. Because they weren't presenting in a way that the audience cared about what they were saying, or they didn't understand the basics of getting eye contact with everybody on the table so that everybody pays attention to what you've got to say. So presentation is incredibly important. Now, is technical skill important? I guess it depends on the individual and what they want to do. So, for example, if you're wanting to set yourself up as a gambling expert, you're going to have to be good with a deck of cards. You look at somebody like Greg Wilson. You want to do the sort of thing Greg Wilson does, where he kind of calls himself sort of the charming cheat type of thing, and he's got this whole con man persona. You're going to have certain skills. You're going to be able to flourish. You're going to be able to do certain stuff, and that's important. So I suppose it very much depends on your character. But let's call a spade, and let's be completely honest here. If you're going out to your average close-up job, they couldn't care less what your character is. They just want to be entertained. You might turn around to me and go, you know what, my character is a sleight of hand expert, and I get more bookings than anybody because of my sleight of hand skill. Well, if you do, that's great. Most people aren't in that situation. Pretty much every single magician I know isn't in that situation, unless you're a Vegas headliner or you're Shin Lim or something. That's not really generally the case. Generally the case, most magicians are jobbing magicians. They're getting inquiries for weddings, they're getting inquiries for private parties, they're getting inquiries for corporate events. And it doesn't really matter how skillful you are. What the important thing is that you can sell yourself to the client, because you could be the most skillful person in the world, but if you don't know how to market yourself and sell yourself, you're not going to really get anywhere. So the important thing is that you market yourself to the client, you're able to communicate clearly to the client about how good you are and why you should be the best person for the event. And then when you get to the event, the most important thing is the client's expectations are met. It's not about whether you can do 15 shifts and a clip shift in the first 15 minutes of the gig. That's not what people care about. What people care about is that you can go and entertain the people that are there, that you can make sure everyone has a good time, that those people will feed back to the client or the booker and say, oh, the magician was great, we had a really great time. That's what's important, not the ability to be technically advanced. Now, can you get to that point? Yes, we talked about Eden Choi earlier on. There's lots of manipulators and people that have made a reputation for themselves by doing incredible sleight of hand. Oliver Tabor is a perfect example. He's had an incredible career based off an act that requires a lot of skill, right? So yes, skill can help, and it will help market you. But for your average close-up magician, forget about stage, for your average close-up magician, most audiences couldn't give two shits about the type of magic that you do. The most important thing is it's entertaining and it's something that people enjoy watching. And generally, entertaining involves connecting with an audience. It's more important to be able to understand how to walk up to a group of people and introduce yourself and interject yourself into their conversation and make them want to listen to what you have to say and make them interested in you, and how to win friends and influence people. It's more important to do that sort of thing than have the ability to do incredibly skilled magic. Case in point is, for years when I do a double lift, I've lifted up at the back and I've never had a problem, and I perform more than most magicians in the UK, and that's how I've done my double lift, and nobody has ever had an issue, and people book me again and again and again. It was only when I started doing Magic TV and I was performing all the time to magicians that I had people in the comments going, Craig's double lift shit. Craig has got a terrible double lift, that made me want to learn how to do a strike double, just because I was getting people constantly going on about it. And now I've learned to strike double, and I do use the strike double in the real world. But to be honest, I'm just as comfortable lifting up 2 cards at the back, because I know it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. Nobody's watching me and saying, well, you know what, that would have been a really great performance if he was like able to do a pinky pull down instead. You know, it really makes no difference. You know, I've started, I left the community for a couple of weeks. Not left the community. I had a bit of a break from this channel, as you guys all know, after the Atomic Deck. And I kind of, when I came back and I decided to come back to YouTube, I decided I wasn't going to take any crap. And what I mean by that is, if people leave negative comments in the old days, I used to reply to them. I would go on and I'd be like, rah, 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 or I'd make a video about it. These days, if I see a negative comment, I delete it. Because if you're going to watch my video and then you're going to call me names and you're going to call me an arsehole, why? Why should I spend time making content replying to somebody who doesn't like me, as opposed to making content that potentially could help somebody, right? So these days, I've just started deleting negative comments. And somebody posted on a video I put up recently of me doing a cabaret show at a gig. I can't remember which one. And somebody put a massive review on. And I started reading it, and it was basically a review of me, and it was everything that I'd done wrong. I talked about this in the Q&A on Sunday, actually, which you're going to see after this video, ironically. But on Sunday, you're going to see me talking about this now, so I'm going to briefly mention it now. It was very negative, and it was really, really nasty, and it talked about me, and it talked about how I look and everything. It was all about that. And I just deleted it. I didn't even read all of it. But one of the things that it touched on is how, Craig is so unskilled. Craig is he's got no technical skill at all. And I've heard other people say the same thing, and that's cool. But if that's true, let's just say for a minute right now that I am incredibly unskilled and that I have no skill at all, as referenced by several people. Nobody does what we book in about 18,000 events a year through this company. Somewhere between 15 and 18,000 events a year. So if I'm unskilled, and to be clear, this company is built off the back of my shoulders. And what I mean by that is, it was all set up by me and Russell Leeds, and then Russell Leeds left. It's based on me. It's Craig Petty is slightly unusual. So how are we getting that many gigs if I'm not technically skilled? Or if I'm so technically unskilled, how are we so successful? Well, the reason is simple. Because I have an ability to connect with an audience when I am performing for them. And when I talk about performing, I'm talking about every single genre of performing. I'm talking about putting posts up on my company social media that connects clients to me. I'm talking about connecting to clients when I walk on stage, connecting to clients when I go and do a close-up job. That's really important. And that will get people to like me way more than the ability to do a technically flawless double lift. If you want to, now I'm an advocate for sleight of hand. I love performing moves and learning moves and so on and so forth. As you'll know, especially coin work, I spend hours practicing and learning coin work and coming up with new coin techniques, as anybody who's got any of my coin sets will know. But that's not necessary. You don't need, and I do that for fun a lot of the time because I love magic. I love learning new magic. But if you took all of that away, I guarantee you, if you took my skill away from me immediately, as long as you left with me with my ability to connect to an audience, I could go out and perform at a close-up job with a Svengali deck, and that's it. and I know I can be successful and the client would be happy. Not because I'm the best magician in the world, because I'm not, but I do have the ability to connect to an audience. And that, bringing it back full circle, is what Harry Moulding has. Harry Moulding, do you want to know why he won Britain's Got Talent? Do you know why he was so successful? It wasn't because he did 15,000 forces. It wasn't because he skydived out of an aeroplane. It wasn't because he had that wonderful moment where the word was revealed on the stage. It wasn't because he made a marriage proposal happen right in front of people. It wasn't for any of that. The reason Harry Moulding won Britain's Got Talent is because he's likable and the audience got behind him. You listen to the chants. You know, when the judges were talking, there were I don't think there were any other acts, or maybe there were one or two, during the semi-finals and the finals, where people were going, Harry, Harry. Not everybody in that audience knows him, but every single person loved him. And it wasn't because he had a sob story. He didn't have a sob story. He didn't have a dead grandmother. He didn't have like a leg falling off. It was just a bloke from Blackpool coming along and doing magic and winning the largest the largest talent competition, or one of the largest talent competitions in the world. It was because he had the ability to connect to an audience. People were chanting his name. He won with 27% of the votes. It was a landslide victory compared to anyone else who came, I think, in the 17s or something like that. It wasn't like a 0.5%. He smashed it because people like him. He had the ability to walk on stage, and he had the ability within a few seconds to get the audience to like him and to get the judges to like him. Was his magic simple? Yes. But here's the thing. If you're a magician and you're one of those magicians that's been posting on social media, slagging Harry off, slagging his act off, saying he's not very good, saying all of this stuff about him, then here's what you need to do. Take this whole thing as a learning experience. Because here's the thing, I looked at Harry's 3 performances as a masterclass in how to take a simple magic trick and make it bigger. I see a lot of people that go on Britain's Got Talent and they just overcomplicate things. They make it ridiculously complicated. You know what's funny? Go back and look at Ryland's audition on America's Got Talent. I had magicians say the same thing about Ryland, because in his audition he had this trick where the judges were picking numbers, and the numbers had pictures on the back of them, and it was just a force. And then after the force, it was a series of revelations. The envelopes that the judges held predicted the pictures that they would take, and then the pictures formed a word. And the word was on the back of the T-shirts of the young magicians that were helping him. And then it was all UV'd over the desk. It was just revelations of the same force. If anything, it was even simpler than Harry's thing. And I had the same thing for magicians when Ryland went on America's Got Talent. It's so simple. He just did a force. He just did a force and then 3 revelations. Yeah, but he got through to the semi-finals, didn't he? He got through to the semi-finals with that simple concept. And that's the thing that you guys need to understand. Simplicity is key when you're creating a moment. And you look at Harry's performances, and it was a masterclass in how to take a simple card force or a simple word force and make it play bigger. You look at, yes, it was a force with a force bag. Everybody knows that. On the final with Simon Cowell, it was a force with a force bag. But that moment right there, where he's been on stage the entire time, at the very, very end, all the smoke clears, and that word is there over the whole stage. That's something that's never been seen on that program before. And you know what? Half of the battle is going on a Got Talent show and doing something that people haven't seen before, because there's been a lot of magicians going on there doing a lot of magic, and it's very difficult to figure out something that they haven't done. That was a unique moment right there that nobody expected. It was a masterclass in how to take a simple trick. It was a masterclass in how to take a simple force and make it play bigger than anybody could have ever expected. That thing, it was so strong. And that's a masterclass. And you know what? There's 2 types of magicians that are going to be watching this. There's one type of magician that's going to be saying, Craig's full of shit, and we'll probably hear from them in the comments. Harry Moulding's act was terrible. And he just did 3 forces and that's it. And by the way, Ryland was terrible on America's Got Talent as well. Those type of people are the people, generally, that spend years and years and years practicing sleight of hand. They can tell you every single move. They can watch somebody else doing every single move that's ever been created, and they can tell them why they're technically doing it wrong in every single way. But they're the people that will never have the balls to go out and perform at any level higher than where they're comfortable with. They won't break their comfort zone. You won't see them on America's Got Talent. You won't see them on Britain's Got Talent. You won't see them outside of their comfort zone. Different people like that have different comfort zones. Some might be restaurant performers and they'll never go beyond performing in restaurants. Some might be social performers. They'll never get bigger or better than practicing on their close-up pad and performing for a couple of mates down the pub. Some of them, might be at a different level. I don't know, but they'll never push beyond that level because they're too busy pointing out why other people are doing things wrong rather than working on their own trajectory. Fine. You think that Harry got it wrong. Then prove your concept right by going on it yourself, but you're not going to. Like I say, two people that are watching this video. The first are the people that are moaning, I'm full of shit, Harry's full of shit, Ryland's full of shit, it's all completely wrong. Then the second type of people that are going to be watching this are going to be people that are like, yeah, you know what? You're right. Now, I'm not saying that I'm right about everything, but I know from 30 years plus experience that the way that you connect with an audience is not through complicated sleight of hand. The way you connect with an audience is not by learning the latest way to do a pass with a pack of cards. The way you connect with an audience is not by stick measuring how big your freaking muscle pass is. The way you connect with an audience is by learning how to read them and learning how to say the right thing to get them to know you, to get them to like you, to get them to trust you, to get them to want to listen to you. That is how you build up an audience. That's how you build up a tribe of people in any business. That's how I built up an entertainment company, by delivering performances. Are my entertainers in Nonstop Kids the greatest kids entertainers in the world? Hell no, but they are amazing. They are absolutely amazing. And what they do is simple, but what they do, and a lot of people that work with us are actors and ex-Redcoats and ex-Holiday Park staff. They're not coming into it from the point of view of an experienced magician that doesn't know how to present to children. They're coming into it from a point of view of somebody who's an expert at performing for children, and the magic thing they find super easy. That's the most important thing. The most important thing is the ability to connect with people and creating moments. That's the other thing. When Harry made a marriage proposal on stage, that was an incredible moment. Everybody talked about it. Now, everyone talked about it. Some people were negative about it. Some people were positive about it. But you know what? Everybody talked about it. Everyone. You look at the finale. Some people loved it. Some people hated it. But everybody talked about it. What he did was newsworthy. It got people talking. I guarantee you why he got through the we know he got through the semi-finals because of the golden buzzer, but I think he would have got through the semi-finals without the golden buzzer. And the reason he got the golden buzzer was because what he did got every single person talking. Everybody was like, oh my God, this is an incredible moment. This is one of the most amazing moments in Britain's Got Talent. Now, you might disagree, but I think that was the most amazing talent in that was the most amazing moment in Britain's Got Talent history. We need to focus on making moments like that for ourselves. When we look at our act and we look at what we do well and we look at what we do wrong, never should we kind of go, you know what, I'm not where I want to be in magic. How do I get to where I want to be? I know I need to learn another move. No, you don't. You don't need to learn another move. Look at YouTube as an example. Why do the best YouTubers connect so well? Why does somebody have millions of views and somebody else have dozens of views? Well, the reason is the people that connect, generally, the YouTubers that connect are the ones that have learned to connect to an audience. The people that watch the videos and the people that listen to what they say, they've connected with them. It's not rocket science. But even if you disagree with everything I've said, that's absolutely fine. But don't be the person that's going on social media saying, Britain's Got Talent's an embarrassment. I can't wait to be taken off the air. I saw a magician post that on their public profile, on their public Facebook profile. They posted, Britain's Got Talent is an embarrassment. I can't wait for it to be axed. I'm paraphrasing here, but it was something like, it's all about the money these days. I do, why can't you do magic for the joy and the love of it? The irony is the person that posted that is a professional magician who goes out and performs to make money to live. The person who posted that is a content creator who I assume is creating content because ultimately they want to make money from it. Magic can be about making money. It's not a dirty thing, making money is not a dirty thing. Being a professional magician means that you have to make money, and that's absolutely fine. But being on Britain's Got Talent doesn't destroy the magic industry. If anything, having a magician win Britain's Got Talent is incredible. Having a magician win Britain's Got Talent is amazing, because I guarantee you that you're going to see more people making bookings for magic because of Harry Moulding. We've already spoken to people on the phone this week that have booked in, that have mentioned Britain's Got Talent and have mentioned Harry Moulding. Even if people haven't watched Britain's Got Talent, and I know the viewing figures have gone down. Oh, the viewing figures are lower than ever before. Yeah, but look at the YouTube figures. Look at how many people watch that stuff on YouTube. It's incredible. Look at how many newspapers are talking about the final. Look at how many news outlets are talking about the final. Everyone's talking about Harry Moulding. Everyone's talking about Harry Moulding. That kid's career is set, and I couldn't be happier for him. But when it comes to technique, which is what this whole video was about ultimately at the end of the day, I think if you want to learn technique, learn it. If you want to learn skill sleight of hand and that makes you feel happy, then that's absolutely great. But don't slag off people that don't want to do that, that want to focus on presentation, because there's nothing wrong with that either. And realistically, if you're not where you want to be, look at where you are in magic. Look at where you are. Look at where your position is. And ask yourself a question. Is that where ultimately you want to be? Because if it is, great. Don't listen to me. But if you would like to be further than you are right now, well, maybe you need to do things a little bit differently. And maybe one of the ways of doing things is to spend less time slagging off people that are going out there and being super successful, like Harry, and more time looking at it and going, right, okay, he's 24 years old. He's now won £250,000, and I guarantee you he's getting more work than anyone else. What can I do to make sure that that's me next year? What can I learn from his performances? And then if you want to slag off Britain's Got Talent, fine. But have the balls to go on there and do it yourself. Don't be an armchair critic. I don't get it. I really don't. But there you go. I think that technique is important, especially if you want to learn it for fun. If I wasn't a professional magician, I'd be a hobbyist. And I love learning technical magic. I look around this room and there's cards and coins everywhere. I'm constantly learning stuff. But at the same time, it's about connecting with an audience. Do me a favor, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Let's get a dialogue going. Did you watch the Britain's Got Talent final? What do you think of Harry's act? Do you see where I'm coming from? Or do you think I'm talking crap? Let me know down below. You want to see more videos like this, like the video, subscribe to the channel. And if you want to learn some incredibly cool techniques and some sleight of hand, then you can join the Netrix. What do you think of the link there? It's pretty good, right? Just go to thenetrix.com. It's my online streaming platform for magicians. You can get access to it immediately. Outside of that, I will see you again soon. Thank you so much for watching. My name's Craig, and this is Magic TV.